Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Department of Ag Trade Consumer Protection, we've got Michael here with us, and he's picking up on our top 10 consumer complaint. Well, their top 10 consumer complaints. We're talking about it, and we're picking up from 5 through 10, or 6. I'm sorry, 6 through 10. We could talk about 5 too, but we'll give you 6 through 10 today. Michael, first off, thank you. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks, Jeremy. Doing great. Glad to be here.
Glad you're here, and it's nice to see the list. I guess I look forward to seeing the list every year, kind of see what's trending, because we have you folks on all year round. So it's kind of interesting to see. Hopefully, some of the stuff, the tactics that you've been doing are working, and that's being shown in the numbers. And if new things are on the rise, that's good too. So we know what's going on. So we'll start with number 6, and that's in the medical services. Probably not a surprise in some ways, but it says it's down by 18 complaints, which is sort of surprising in itself. But tell us what you know on number 6.
Yeah, it is a good point that it's down by 18 complaints, considering how much focus and attention has been on the medical care industry the past year. So that also could be attributed to people maybe not going in for certain things. That we've also heard that side of the coin. And for these types of complaints, what's interesting is we really focus on whether billing disputes or misleading representation. And what we try to encourage people to do is pay attention to the bill and really look at what's being charged for. And those are the areas where we're trying to say, okay, if you were charged for it and you didn't get it, that's something we might be able to help out with. And recently, the federal government passed the No Surprise Act, which is going to be a huge tool for consumers and us as well, which adds a little bit more clarity and transparency to this industry.
Yeah, and I think that's been needed for a while, so it'll be good to have that and hopefully help stop some of the miscommunications that are out there related. But good to see it going down. Other things that are going wrong or not surprising, and it kind of rounds out the next 3. We're going to go to the motor vehicle world. Repair, sales, accessory. Oh boy, these probably not surprising. Similar to like your home improvement. Some people had some extra money to do some work, or I don't know, it's just a mixed bag of things. So let's start with the repairs. What do you gathered from repairs?
Yeah, it's a good point. And this hits all aspects of kind of the motor vehicle side of things. And the repair one is interesting, because as you've noticed in the past year and a half, motor vehicle car prices have exploded. And so now you have to make that decision. Do you want to fix it or maybe trade it in, get a new one? Well, as those prices go up, you get forced into making repairs. And so what we saw for the number of complaints come in typically focus around whether or not the services that you signed for were actually provided, the misrepresentation on what they said they were going to do, maybe not putting in the parts that they were supposed to, and then the contract requirements. Like anything, they have certain disclaimers that they're supposed to give so that we're aware of what should be done. And not all shops have those disclaimers, so we help out with that.
Yeah, and then you look at the sales. I mean, and like you said, the prices have been just skyrocketing, especially on used vehicles. So probably not a surprise that there's going to be some disputes, even on new vehicles too, being priced, way overpriced or what we think is overpriced. The complaints are there.
Absolutely. We get a lot of the complaints about the advertising or things go wrong, and we work collaboratively with the Department of Transportation on some of these complaints, as they have a little bit of authority and help out as well. And what we're focused on is the advertising, but really the misleading sales promotions. Everybody's getting those flyers that say, they won a new car, they won $10,000, and then they go into the dealership and realize you actually didn't win any of that. And now you're listening to a sales pitch. So our goal is to try and make sure there's transparency and a little bit of integrity in those advertisements.
Yeah, it's definitely misleading there. That'd be very upsetting indeed. Next one, interesting. It's cracked the top 10 list for the first time. And again, probably not surprising given the times we're in, but motor vehicle accessories and parts complaints.
Yeah, this is a new one, and it ties in. You mentioned earlier home improvement, and Laura had talked about not being able to get certain supplies to make those improvements, which led to an uptick in those complaints. Well, similarly here with vehicles, we've all heard about the chip shortage and inability to get those vehicles off the lot. Well, it wasn't limited to just those. There's a lot of different parts that either weren't available or just couldn't get to the repair shops or dealerships. So those complaints started to roll in because cars were sitting there and able to get fixed.
Yeah, that's a that's a tough one, and still face there. I ran
Right.
into that problem of just trying to get the part. It's tough times out there, and not surprising that we're seeing some complaints come in. Final one to wrap up the top 10 is entertainment and recreation complaints. I know our family and many families went out there and tried to explore new things and find new ways of entertainment. So probably not surprised, but the number is complaints fall to number 10. I'm trying to read it out as I do this here. It's just interesting to me that this one is in there for complaints.
Well, I think what we're seeing is some residual overflow from some events last year, some things that are still, when we saw a couple upticks and some surges with variants that led to another round of cancellations, which in turn led to, probably more complaints coming in. This premiered last year the year before at number 7. It's the first time we'd ever had it in the top 10. And that was because just about everything got canceled. And so some companies either didn't have the money to give the refunds, or there was a delay in getting those out. And I think we're seeing obviously not as much widespread cancellations, but we're still seeing some here and there. So we're working through some of those complaints until things get back on pace and events really happen.
Yeah, and again, probably not a surprise in some fashion, but at least it is going down as again, going with COVID. Interesting enough, to wrap it all up here, this data is important to consumers because.
Well, it gives you, an idea of what's out there, so you have some awareness, but the data also provides resources on where you can go, whether it be our website or even giving us a call to help understand what resources are out there, how we can help, how you can protect yourself, and make sure you're making smart choices in any of these industries.
And that's what it's all about, is that outreach and stuff. And you guys do a great job with it. And I hope some of the numbers reflect some of the work that you have done, good or bad. And you'll keep fighting the good fight for us, which we appreciate, Michael, so much. So thank you so much for your time. If people do want to learn more about those resources that you're referring to, where can they find those?
Yeah, please just go to our website at datcp.wi.gov. We have hundreds of fact sheets out there and a lot of resources to help you educate yourself.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your help, and glad we could share the information out as we do each and every month.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate the opportunity to share the word.
You bet. We'll check back in with DATCP next month. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.